Good morning, Dane. It's good to see you. Are you used to getting up before this time of day on a Sunday, Dane?
Yeah, a lot of prep, a lot of games to call today, and I'm especially excited about this morning getting some sports in and with a very good coach.
Yeah,
Excited.
so Super Sunday edition, man. It's cool.
Yeah,
We got a lot of games to call. Got a great night of fight night episodes and stuff. So today's
yeah,
a jam-packed sports day. Our people always tell us make sure we have that balance. Dane, speaking of that, October is one of my favorite months of the year. Everything I feel like it's got
yeah,
every sport that we really focus on:
yeah,
basketball,
definitely.
softball, football, baseball, of course,
Yeah,
softball. Right? That's going strong.
yeah,
So. And in the midst of all that, it's all at once. So it's like there's a game every day of the week.
yeah.
So we've been blessed, man, the past couple of weeks to track down a coach, an assistant coach at Idaho that I feel like is doing a great job. We've been chatting off and on for a couple of days off the air, and I feel like his work ethic and his example he's setting, and just the kind of person that we look to and we aspire to be. And the
Yeah.
message of the show, we talk a lot about attitude and effort's all that really matter, and this coach really exhibits those behaviors, man. So
Yeah.
I could really write up a pedigree of all the great things I feel like this coach is doing, but instead of me saying it, let's bring him on himself and introduce our friend, Coach
Yeah.
Dunham. Coach, how you doing, my friend?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, man. I'm so excited. So excited
Yes,
to be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time.
yeah. Feeling is likewise, Coach. We have some questions for over the years, man, to kind of pick your brain as an individual and the great mind of what you are. So I'm going to take the lead with this one. So obviously, basketball has been something that's been a part of your life for a very long time. I'm curious, man. Take me back, maybe the beginning, obviously before Idaho and some of the other assistant jobs you've done. When did you first get the itch to coach? How old were you, man? And what did that look like for you? You know?
Hmm.
Well, it started back in ninth grade. I was a baseball player, actually, really good baseball player, and all my friends, my brother, his friends, they were all playing basketball, and so I was like, let me check and see what this is about. And so I started playing probably about the fourth grade. We just started playing basketball, and I was like, man, it's a lot of fun because of action, always action, always action. Fast forward to the ninth grade when I had a long conversation with my mom, and she just said, "You need to start now thinking about what you want to do as a future, for your job. Like, what do you want to do in life?" Um, and at that point, I had a lot of people that were just always in my ear trying to encourage me. I didn't grow up with, uh, a father figure in the house, and
Hmm.
so I had a lot of male, just figures that were just trying
Yeah.
to help me make good decisions away from, uh, when we're not in school, when
Yeah.
we're not on the court or field, what are we
Hmm.
doing in that spare time? Uh, and so, I decided I wanted to be like that. I wanted to coach. I wanted to mentor. I wanted to be an example, for others that grew up in the same situation. And it wasn't a terrible situation. Like I didn't grow up,
Hmm.
I mean, in the bad part of the city, but
Hmm.
it was just right on the outskirts. And so,
Yeah.
we interact. A lot of our friends lived in, the bad part of the cities, and so just allowing those, listening to those coaches, um, helped me decide that I wanted to play basketball.
I
I
love
see
that.
the action, the action, the action, the constant action. So
You're spot
Hmm.
on, man. And we talk about this a lot, Dane and I. We break down sports, and Dane has been a mentor to me on breaking down. I feel like basketball and soccer, athletically, the two hardest sports in the world, in my opinion, right? Because of the defense, offensive constant, the transition, everything. You could preach on that for days. When you said about people motivating you, it was neat to hear you say that they motivated you off the court. Your people that influenced you to be a coach weren't even
Yeah.
really basically all about basketball. That's a really cool
Yeah.
kind of
Definitely.
analogy. I love that. Dane, go ahead, man.
Definitely. Well, like you said, whenever you played baseball and then you made the transition to with the action of basketball, what are some of maybe the other things that kind of endeared you to the sport and ultimately coaching that as well?
um, for me, if I wasn't taking in information to get the knowledge, I
Hmm.
was asleep. And so that the mental part of it, like the IQ, understanding, learning, I guess first, and understanding what all that meant, why you did what, and that just intrigued me. It's like, um, you know, reading a book, and you just get in that book, and you're imagining all the things that are happening in that book, and you're creating this picture. And so creating that picture
Mhm.
of watching film. Well, it wasn't film back then; it was like VHS. But watching, you
Yeah.
know, watching the tape of the players that I grew up watching. The Magic, the Lakers, loved the Lakers
Mhm.
in the '90s. The Bulls and the Celtics, and so just watching that film and building my IQ, kind of
Mhm.
creating visual, pictures in my mind of what success looked like in the game. And so that's the part that I really, really try to pass on today, is just that IQ of understanding why we're doing what we're doing, and so that it
Mhm.
makes sense. And then it's just like you just react, you just respond. You don't know why, you just do it because that's what's ingrained in your mind.
It's in your DNA, it sounds
Wow.
like, to be a coach, man.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
me and Dan talk about that a lot. Like every coach we ever talked to, coach, and it's just there's something about you guys. There must have been like when the stars aligned or lightning must have struck when you're
Yeah.
born. Every coach we've ever talked to, it's in your DNA. Like you can't help it; it
Yeah.
just flows out of you. So it's very evident to see that you're born a coach, man. I hear it. So
And what's fascinated me is that you did it at such a young age and thought, okay, I'm going to influence people and be a positive influence to those around me. So, like Josh said, it's in your DNA, obviously, to start that young, this coaching process. So
love that.
it's awesome to hear.
So it's funny because growing up, the NBA used to have a summer league in LA. It was at Loyola Marymount, and all the pros, the NBA officials, and so I would film the officials. Like that was my job growing
That's
up,
cool.
and then so I would film them, and then after we would go into the film room. And they would critique these. So I'm sitting here listening, to all the stuff going on, and even in those situations with officials, and I'm a you know young man, and I'm listening to this, and there was even influences in those meetings of people saying, you're going to be something great someday, you're going to do this and you're going to do that, and just that mentorship um, meant a lot back then as well. So I honestly was just a sponge, and I'm just taking in all this information and just hoping that one day I'd be able to pass it on.
That's man. You
Wow.
say be a sponge. I've heard Dane say this because Dane still coaches kind of assistantly. And when you say be a sponge, that's what we tell these kids all the time, Dan. Don't you agree? Like
Yeah.
our even our
Yeah.
girls, soak it up, and that's what you're doing. You're soaking up knowledge left and right, man.
Yeah.
Obviously the influence. It's neat to see this transition, coach, as you're leaving this influence on these young men, right? We always talk about osmosis. We say this probably 50 out of 60 episodes a year. You're doing an osmosis thing where now what you were absorbed from all the greats, you're now passing that on to these young men and beyond that, right? So I'm curious.
Mhm.
There's probably a few, man, more than one. Is there a couple influences, if you were to maybe like say, hey, maybe the Mount Rushmore of your influences, if you will, that have left a mark on you as a person and a coach?
Yeah, first and foremost, I'd have to say, seeing how hard that my mom worked. She had three kids by the age of 21, single. And seeing how hard she worked every day. She would get up at 4 or 5 in the morning every single day, and she would drive the carpool an hour and a half. She'd pick up everybody, and an hour and a half later, she'd be at work. Um, and so seeing how hard she worked, I would get up with her, and she would drop me off at the gym at by 5:30, 6 o'clock, and
Wow.
I would just be at the gym at 6 o'clock at my high school.
Wow.
And I would practice in the mornings with our junior varsity. And a lot. I mean, I can't even like a lot after school. I would go with the varsity, and then I some way somehow get over to the junior college and practice with them or run open gym with them. And just because I just I wanted to impress her, like not I knew my mom would be proud of me. Like that wasn't a big deal, but just I wanted to impress her to the point where she knew that I saw how hard she worked, and I wanted to do that as well. And I honestly can say, just to get a college degree. That's all I ever wanted to do, was go to college.
Wow.
Playing and coach, but playing professional basketball, those things are bonuses. But for me, It was really just I wanted to get because I knew she couldn't afford. She told me I can't afford to send you to
Yeah.
college.
Mm.
Um, and so that was my motivation. And so she would be first and foremost, and still to this day, there was a coach that uh, so my senior high school team, we still talk to this day.
That's
Oh,
cool.
wow.
We text, we do. I mean, it's so awesome. But Coach Jones was a major, major influence in my life. And we don't talk every day, but when we do talk, it's like we didn't, you know,
Didn't miss a
there
beat.
was no
Yeah,
days
skip a beat.
between. And but even the decisions that I make, like the decisions that I make to not drink or not whatever, like
Yeah.
I think about him, like, okay, what would he think of this, or what would
Man.
and so
Right.
me being a very spiritual person,
Yeah.
um, the influences that he has had on my life have been lifelong major uh, influences. And then there's one other person, and he probably doesn't even know this, um, and but I think about him a lot, and that's Lavelle Sanders. We call him Tip, and just man, the way he would not only just me, but the way he was a football coach, and he was a relative. So, but not only was he like that with me, but like that with all kids around the young boys he coached.
Yeah.
He was just like straight to the point. There was no, and then
You knew
understanding,
what he was thinking.
understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those three are among others. I've had some
Yeah.
Yeah.
great coaches in my life, some great basketball coaches in my life, but those three I think about constantly.
I love it, man. Obviously, you can never really say them all. I mean, Dean talked about that. I remember Coach Jackson, even from fourth grade, man, all the way up to coach me
Yeah.
through we get it. There's those people that just leave a mark on you. When you said that maybe sometimes you don't talk every day, but when you do, it makes up for lost time, right?
Yeah.
So I get that.
Definitely.
And it's neat to see the direction, and we respect you, even from your faith to what you're doing now, again, to the
Yeah.
next generation.
Definitely.
And you're definitely one of the things I've said about you early on when Dane and I were prepping is it's kind of a quiet storm. You may not,
Yeah.
have to say something at all times, but when you do, people perk up, they
Yeah.
listen. It's less is
Definitely.
more type thing. So that's one thing I picked up on you early on, man. But yeah, it's good to hear some of those influences that have left a mark
Yeah.
on you as you're influencing others. So go ahead, Dan.
Yeah. And like you say, lifelong influences, with your high school mates and your coaches and things like that, you can kind of, bounce ideas off it from, stuff you've learned to bring it now, like with what Josh said, with osmosis, you've taken all these lessons you've learned from great people, and you still talk to them and go push it on to the next generation, which is great.
That's cool.
So I always love hearing the influences of coaches like yourself that coach at a high level and where all that comes from. So it's great that you're taking it to that next level. And, kind of speaking of that next level, now that you're in Idaho here and it's going to be your first year with this team, what do you see coming from, yourself that you want to influence and bring onto this team and this new venture? Are there a couple of things that you're looking to, instill in them right out of the blocks in this season?
It's good.
Just honestly, just continue to be a mentor. And that, one of the things that I do, coach. One of the reasons why I coach is just the mentorship. I really, really enjoy that. And I talk about we earlier we talked about being a sponge.
Yeah.
And you put two scenarios in front of them, right? You could be a brick, which is what's holding up the wall behind you, or you can be a sponge and absorb all this information in. And that's what we really try to
Mm.
do, and have have that mentorship, but also create that culture of we're all in this together. So that's really um, kind of what we're about.
I love that. Yeah, brick or sponge,
Yeah.
man. I'm
Yeah.
hashtag that. That's powerful, man. And it's
There you go.
you can hold up the wall, or you can be a sponge. That's good, man. I love that.
Yeah.
So like I said, we've been watching it, and I can't wait as more games, or you guys stream them and stuff. You got fans here all over the world, obviously, with this in the Midwest. So I can't wait to see some of those sponges make some awesome some plays. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely, absolutely.
There's a segment, man. I promise you, I'd be willing to bet money on this. Me and Dane do bet. There's a segment that we do called Rapid Fire. I promise you, in all of your media throughout your career, this is a little segment you probably haven't had before. It's really fun. Now, it's called Rapid Fire. We always keep it PG, but our fans are awesome from around the world. They give us some weird questions. It's about to get weird. Okay. This is rapid. So, now what it is imagine it's past or present. Like you can go anywhere in time, past or present. So anything is possible. Okay. So some of these scenarios, wait, this doesn't even matter. It's fine. So Dane and I pick what we think you're going to say. We're betting on you. Me and Dane already have the questions, and we think we know what you're going to say. We bet on that. So you're being put on the spot. Okay.
All right.
So,
here we go.
So Dane, are you ready for your picks? Dane, you ready? So.
Yep.
So going back to some of the greats, like you said, of the 80s and 90s, they call you up after the season's over. You got a little break after your vacation. They say, hey, coach, we want you to come be a part of a celebrity NBA hopscotch tournament. And do some hopscotch, okay? Pretty cool. Yeah. And so, they're doing they're adding this to maybe they're trying it out for the prep for maybe the All-Star game, but you get to pick your co-host. You got to commentate the celebrity NBA hopscotch game. And your two co-hosts can either be Shaq, great media presence, love the dude, or you can be a co-host with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for this hopscotch tournament. Are you picking Shaq or Kareem for your partner?
Okay. So I'm because I gotta go Shaq.
Okay, got you. It's no wrong answer. These are all great. There's no wrong answer. So Dan, did you have Shaq?
Oh yeah, that's Shaq. He's always good on TNT. I always enjoy it.
He's awesome.
Him and Barkley going back and forth on that show.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. Good, Shaq. I had that one for 2. So we're tied. So next question, man. There's a lot of celebrity contests for some reason. So another one, you get called up again after the season to come be a part of a guest show for an episode on Food Network. You see a lot of guests appear on cooking shows, things like that. So you're called up to judge. For some reason, they want you to judge a lot on this one. You're going to be a judge in a cookie eating contest. There's like 50 different types of cookies, and you got to like a timer. You're doing the deal. So your guest co-host again for this segment. You can go with the great one. You can go with Jordan, my opinion, respect, greatest of all time, or you can pick Charles Barkley as your co-host for this cookie eating contest. You going Jordan or Barkley for this one?
Barkley.
I actually had Jordan, dude. Dang it, I did, man.
Oh no.
Oh man.
I always look at the co-host as who has the most knowledge of the material. I always think Barkley have more knowledge.
I wasn't thinking that, Barkley. I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking that. What I was thinking.
I got you. This comedy gold.
I was thinking more how dynamic he is on air.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. Dane, take notes about the co-host thing. I think he's talking to you. Just kidding. So next one. Back to your baseball, Dave. I think this is neat. Okay, so I think I already know this one, but I'm going to say it. You're asked a lot of times, and All-Star games just comes up. So your two choices we're going to say Pro Bowl or All-Star game for MLB. They ask you, say, hey coach, why don't you come help us be a guest coach for the night? You can be a co-host for the NFC Pro Bowl. You can be a Pro Bowl coach for the NFC, or you can guest host the AL, the American League division for the All-Star game. So Pro Bowl for football or American League for baseball, they're All-Star games, right? Do you want to be the football or baseball? Which one do you want to coach for the night?
Ooh, I honestly would have to say football.
Okay, got you. I had the baseball one, man. I did because I knew you had played early on, so I didn't have that one. Dane, did you?
No, I had baseball as well.
Okay.
You go back to where it all began there.
Yeah.
That was a tough one. That was tough.
I got you. So you got me one up, Dane. So the next one. So coach, a lot of coaches are mentors, and they help write scripts for movies and things like that. So check this out. They say, we don't want you to be a writer. We want you to star in these remakes. There's going to be a reboot of these franchise historical movies, and you get to be the coach in this movie. Okay. So you can either A, be the coach in the upcoming remake of the Mighty Ducks. Love that movie. Okay. Or you can be the main coach in the remake, making it more of a family-friendly version of Any Given Sunday. You going with Mighty Ducks or Any Given Sunday? You're the main guy. Which one?
Mighty Ducks.
Oh my gosh, I did not have that one, Dane. Did you?
Nah, I didn't have that one either.
Gotcha.
I always thought Any Given Sunday, that'd be a good one that we go on.
I just always remember as a kid, it scarred me when I saw him punch the glass with his face. I'm like, oh my gosh, is he okay? I've never, So what were you gonna say, Coach?
Mighty Ducks. Mighty Ducks was one I remember as a kid. Younger, not as a kid, but younger. And I always thought that was a really cool movie.
Dane remembers that from his high school days, right, Dane? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's the last one, man. The whole media thing and commentary comes full circle. So two of these, I love them both. Two of these radio personalities say, "Hey, I'm calling in sick today, Coach. I need you to come in and run my show for the day. You're the main guy." So the first one that calls you up is the legendary, iconic Jim Rome. "Hey, come fill in for me for the day. Love Jim Rome." Or you can take the place and try to do it justice and fill in for Stephen A for the day. Jim Rome or Stephen A, man? Which one you go with?
Oh man. Stephen A.
Let's go. Yeah. I think they're both great. I think Stephen A he fits a lot more of like the action. Jim Rome's kind of love him, but he's never really, he's always like this, always kind of chill, laid back. Stephen A gets real passionate. So I think your passion would fit Stephen a little more.
It's been a while since I watched Jim Rome or listened to Jim Rome. But Stephen A, I really try to catch, as much as I can.
He's going to catch your attention one way or the other, whether you agree or not. You know what I'm saying? So I tried to petition to get him as my celebrity Alexa voice, by the way. "Alexa, can you turn the lights on?" No, I'm kidding. So anyway, hopefully, Coach, in segments you've had and interviews, you haven't had a segment like that. So thanks for being a good sport, okay?
No, that was fun.
Awesome. So last segment, Dan, I'll give that to you, man, for the final segment.
Yeah, on this segment, Coach, we call it an open mic. We open the floor up to our guests to maybe tell some of the younger viewers that are on their journey and on their path to greatness, maybe give them a word or two of possibly a mantra or a philosophy that you carried from your young coaching days to now. Is there something, maybe a philosophy or two that maybe you can tell some of our younger viewers to help them on their journey as well?
Yeah, the one thing that I really, for me personally, I didn't know what it was like to be a student, like in the classroom, to understand what that meant, what it meant for, going home and putting time into your schoolwork, like actually put time to be a good student. And then, because when I got to college, I had no idea. I had no idea what going to study and do that. So one would be dive into your just like you put that time into what you do on the court, dive into what you do off the court as far as your schoolwork, and be a good athlete, be a good baseball, basketball, football, whatever you play, be good at that, but also be good at the work you do in the classroom, and be a student of both. So be a student on the court as well. Don't just go out and play. Understand why you're doing what you're doing. You're getting up shots. Why? What's the purpose? You're working on your ball handling. Why? What's the purpose? Why is it important to make a certain pass at a certain time? Meaning whether I need to make a chest pass or a bounce pass. Like, be a student in all that, and then ask questions. And even if the information is being repeated, still sponge it in, because sponges they have their max, right? And eventually, when you got too much water, it's going to spill out. That's the extra information, right? So you can take in the information, and if it's something you already know, it'll drain, like it'll go, right? But always receive, be a student and listen and listen and listen. Because when you show up to whatever, I deal with a lot of college players. When you show up to have a conversation with that coach and they ask you those questions and you can answer, and the coach goes, "Whoa," right? That's what you want. You want that whoa moment from the coach because you were a student. And not only were you a student on the court, but you also have a 3.6 or 3.7 in the classroom, right? And so and they never have to worry about you in the classroom part of it, or your character and all that. So that's what I would say. Just be a student of and a sponge.
Man, I love that. The sponge thing is hitting hard. I'm gonna use that, man. I really am.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and make a bumper sticker, and I'm gonna take full credit for it. No, I'm kidding. That's a Coach original, man. No, Dane. I mean, we say this every time. Osmosis, and Coach, you really
Yeah.
do. You talk about being a student, and I like the details of what you say. I'm big on details because Dane will run a drill for his girls 100 times. When you say bounce pass versus chest pass, those
Yeah.
little tiny things, that really is the difference in the technical expertise, man. Like that's those are the things we eat that stuff up, right? Like what
Yeah.
sets you apart from other coaches, and it's clear to see you're always learning, you're always giving back,
Yeah.
and just wow, man. Well, Coach, I'll tell you this, man. It's always an honor. I meant it when I said we believe in what you're doing. We believe in you. Let it be known. Please make this the first of many. Don't let this be the last time we have you on the
Yeah.
episode, man. Be around. We'll be watching you and cheering you
Yeah.
on. Let it be known this is an open invitation to come back anytime.
Yeah.
And we
Definitely.
truly do mean that. Okay. So
Absolutely. Hey, anytime. And I mean
I love
that.
it. I love it.
Awesome.
Just not just the rapid fire. You just got to get easier. I mean, those are tough questions.
Good. I was working on my game. Dane, do you have anything closing for Coach before we get him back to his
Well,
morning?
I just had one more question.
Yeah.
Whenever you said talking to people and you get those whoa moments from a coach, whenever you're, in a new situation like this, do you usually make an effort just to go player to player and kind of, pick their brain and see what kind of student they are of the game as well?
Absolutely. And you know what? When we have conversations, when you just have a conversation, a lot of times the players will come up to you and
Mm.
go and ask you a question like, hey, why are we doing this? And or would this make sense if we did this kind of deal, right? And you don't take as a coach, you don't take that like why are they questioning? Because sometimes when you have 15 guys, 16 guys, whatever you have on your team, and they all come from different backgrounds and of coaching, the
Mhm.
coaches that they had, um, there's some good coaches out there,
Yeah.
that are really smart, and so those players are learning from those coaches, and so when they ask questions, and you go, oh, and you go home at night and you go, oh, that was a good question, right?
Yeah.
So and then you start to think about those types of things, but they'll ask you questions
Mm.
as well. But you learn a lot in recruiting when you're recruiting and you're talking to
Mhm.
their coach or their assistant coach, and their coach or assistant coach will say, "Smart kid, like he understands, he gets it," or
Mhm.
those types of things come out then.
Man.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's good.
Awesome.
I'm being a sponge, man. I'm over here making notes for my
Yeah.
next. I have some questions I want to ask my next guest, right? So thanks, Coach, for being a automatic,
Yeah.
man. So I'll tell you what, it is an honor, man. I mean it when I
Yeah.
say it. We'll get
Definitely.
this. We make it a point. We'll get this out to the world as soon as we can. Your story needs to be heard. I go back to
Yeah.
the very beginning when you talk about giving shout outs to your mom, that presence on your life, and
Yeah.
no wonder you're up every day, still the routine of no
Yeah.
question. You set a discipline in motion early on in your life, and that's where it starts. You
Yeah.
said it very clearly. You started off at a young age, discipline of getting up, and then the groundwork was already set. Some of the
Yeah.
kids we work with, like, hey, I need you to get up before 9 a.m. And like, what? 9 a.m.? And you're talking
Yeah.
about being ready to go at 6 a.m. And that's the discipline that's the groundwork. That's the brick part of laying it that you have to have. So
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
just impressed, man. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
So our show here, Coach, we are very grateful to have had this opportunity with you. Like I said, we'll get this
Yeah.
out to the world as soon as we can. We'll give you some time back in the morning. And again, let's make this the first of many. Okay. So
Yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you both. Honestly, humbled, very humbled, and look forward to having this and doing this again with you guys.
Yeah.
it will be the first
Definitely.
of many, Coach. So
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
care. Much love. You're welcome to drop off, and we'll be in touch very soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Sounds good.
much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
So Dan, I'm telling you, man, he's an awesome guy. I love that dude. What do you think of him?
Yeah. I mean,
Wait, let me get out. Let me get out first, Dane.
See you, Coach.
Yeah.
See you, Coach. Dan, what'd you think of him, Dane?
I loved it. I mean, you listen to somebody like that, and he's roughly my age. I kind of calculated, and he's miles and years of knowledge above what I've done. I mean, you listen to somebody like that started at that age, and they've gone all around and learned from all these different influences to bring what he's got to this next venture. I mean, I have no doubt they're going to be great. I mean, listen to what he said. Just the time we had with him, you learn 3 or 4 things. You're lucky to learn 1 or 2 from anybody you meet during the course of your day, but to sit down with a coach like that, and after about 30 minutes, you've learned 3 or 4 things that you have that you're going to take along from here on. I mean, you've met somebody special, and they have a great gift at Idaho with him.
He was captivating, and I say it a lot. I'm not speechless very often, but I was making
Yeah,
notes. I really was, and I was just captivated. I just like listened to him tell his story, and I think the way
yeah,
he didn't let the disadvantages of being a single mom. He talked about how it
yeah,
made him tougher. Like that to me, man. That was like wow. A lot of kids will say I couldn't do it because I only had one parent in the house, so a single mom or dad. There's single dads
yeah,
out there too, and he didn't let that be the stopping point. He's like, I watched my mom figure it out at the
yeah,
age of 21. And there's many like that avenue right there saying, hey, this didn't hold me back. He didn't let it hold him back at all. In
yeah,
fact, it made him understand even all the more harder while he had to work to get where he was. So that was cool. So,
yeah, yeah.
well, yeah, they have a great treat. They have a gold mine in this coach at Idaho. You're definitely right.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I still think he was wrong about some of the rapid fire picks. No, I'm kidding, Coach. We love you, Coach. But no, that's gonna be a good one. So Dane, we'll end it on that one. Today's a big day, man. A big day
Yeah,
for the show. Obviously, starting off with Coach. Love this guy.
yeah,
This evening, I will give you guys a little spoiler. We do have Ace Hill, boxer, stopping by. Can't wait to break it down with him,
yeah,
a boxer, and we'll end the night with a UFC MMA legend, Jade stopping by, Jade
yeah.
Seeley. So it's going to be a great night of sports, man. So don't forget, we appreciate all of you making this show possible.
Yeah.
It's our honor to do this. As always, don't forget that we love you. And Dane?
Thank you for listening.